All right, thanks, Mark, for that great introduction. I'm looking forward to seeing what an upgun expeditionary strike group can do when it's put to the test during Talisman Saber this year. Before I start, I would like to quickly acknowledge Minister for Urban Infrastructure, Mr. Paul Fletcher. Today, we're going to show the Minister what the Naval Marine Corps infrastructure really looks like. Chargé James Caruso, Consul General Fowler, Vice Admirals Johnston and Barrett, fellow flag and general officers, Commodore Norris, well done on executing a highly complex and multidimensional exercise, showcasing just how well the Alliance functions and adapts to ever new challenges. Skipper McCullen, XO LeBron, Command Master Chief Fisher, sailors and Marines of USS Bonhomme Richard, you received the highest approval rating from my senior enlisted leader, who told me as we were walking in that the ship and crew looked great. Folks, that's high praise from Sergeant Major Spadero, so well done on that. Distinguished guests and allies, including Japan, ladies and gentlemen, in Hawaii, I'd say aloha to everyone, and all of you would say aloha back. In Australia, I'd say good day, and you all would then come back and say get on with it. So in the interest of cross-cultural pandering, I'll just simply say Gadoha. So it's an honor for me to be here just a stone's throw away from Sydney and aboard the finest big deck amphibious assault ship in the Pacific Fleet. It was an awesome opportunity to catch a ride out here on an MV-22 Osprey that we recently deployed here in Australia. Proof positive that the U.S. continues to bring our best platforms to the Indo-Asia Pacific. Thanks to all of you for being our gracious hosts for today's ceremony. From ops to engineering to supply, I know that each of you has worked extremely hard to get ready for this deployment, so well done to you all. Folks, U.S. Pacific Command is proud to partner with our Australian Defence Force allies for high-end warfighting scenarios during Exercise Talisman Saber. This is our 7th iteration of Talisman Saber since 2005, and we're excited to have more than 33,000 Americans and Australians training together in various locations. This realistic and challenging exercise provides endless opportunities to innovatively prepare for regional and global security challenges. Exercises like Talisman Saber are precisely where we really learn how to take advantage of cutting-edge technologies to outpace our adversaries. It's also a perfect place for our forces to operationalize a very important concept. I've thrown down the gauntlet, challenging our Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine components to execute multi-domain battle, to find new ways to enable our joint and multinational combined forces to be faster, more precise, more cost-effective, and more importantly, more lethal. When I looked at the Bonhomme Richard, I see endless possibilities for the future. After all, you could say that the amphib ships are the original multi-domain battle platforms, operating from the air, from the sea, and from the land. So I need this blue-green team to lead the way during this exercise. Talisman Saber 2017 is this ESG's final certification, and it will also support our efforts to operationalize the Upgun Expeditionary Strike Group concept. This purpose is to integrate the capabilities of an amphibious ready group, or ARG, a Marine Expeditionary Unit, or MU, with F-35B Joint Strike Fighters, crew des ships, and other enablers to allow the amphibious force to operate with distributed lethality in a high-threat environment. Such a force presents greater challenges to our adversaries and more options to our joint and combined combatant commanders. So I recognize that this will be challenging, but as a combatant commander, I need you to create effects from any single domain to targets in every other domain in order to fight and win tonight. If we have to fight tonight, I don't want it to be a fair fight. If it's a knife fight, I want to bring a gun. If it's a gunfight, I want to bring the Marine Expeditionary Unit and the artillery of our friends and partners and allies especially like Australia. Now, while you're training, I want you to remember the importance of the Australia-U.S. alliance. Remember that our alliance was forged in battle more than a century ago. We fought and died together, in World Wars I and II. We fought communism and the heart wars in Korea and Vietnam and the Cold War throughout the latter half of the 20th century. We fought together in the Gulf War for the last decade plus. We fought side by side in the long wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And today Australia is a global leader in the fight against ISIS. This incredible bond between our countries is as important to our future as it has been to our storied past. This alliance has strengthened peace and prosperity not only in the Indo-Asia Pacific, but across the globe. So for the next month, train hard, train safely, train jointly, and train with a willingness to learn from each other. Strive to become a more interoperable, high-end fighting force. Learn from your mistakes and take our training to the next level. Learn from your mistakes and take our training to the next level. Forge relationships that you can call on during crises because we are in this together. Folks, the Australia-U.S. alliance matters more today than ever before. It matters to our two great nations, it matters to the Indo-Asia Pacific, and it matters to the world. No one should doubt the staying power of this alliance to maintain security, prosperity, and peace in this vital region. May God bless each of you. May God bless Australia, the United States, and all of our allies and partners. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my distinct pleasure to introduce to you the Honorable Paul Fletcher, America's Minister for Urban Infrastructure. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Admiral Harris, to you, to Admiral Dalton, to the captain and crew of the Bonhomme Richard, and to all of the US military personnel here, to Vice Admiral David Johnson, to Vice Admiral Tim Barrett, and to all of the Australian military personnel here, to Your Excellencies Mr Caruso and Ms Fowler, and other distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to be here representing the Australian Government, and particularly the Minister for Defence, Senator the Honourable Marise Payne, who is unable to be with us today as she's meeting fellow Defence Ministers at NATO headquarters, working on plans for the next phase of operations against Daesh and the terrorist networks in Afghanistan, Iraq and Syria. Look, it is a great pleasure and a great privilege to be here on this enormously impressive US warship off the coast of Sydney for the official opening of Exercise Talisman Saber 2017. And I think you could not find a figure after whom to name a warship who is more emblematic of the values which are reflected in both the great nation of the United States and in Australia than Benjamin Franklin, the man after whom Bonhomme Richard is named in recognition of his pen name. An inventor, a diplomat, a writer, a polymath, somebody very closely involved in the creation of the United States. He embodies in his life values such as the rule of law, the importance of a democratic government, the freedom of citizens to live their lives as they choose, and of a military which is under ultimately civilian control and decision-making, reflecting the aspirations and the objectives of the populations that it serves. These are values which are core to the United States. They are values which are core to Australia. They are values which our two nations share. And it is because, fundamentally, of our shared values as nations that we put so much effort into our military cooperation and, of course, our cooperation in so many other fields. In 1951, the second US warship to bear the name Bonhomme Richard, an aircraft carrier, served with the 7th Fleet off the coast of Korea, flying airstrikes in support of coalition ground operations. And some distance away was Australia's aircraft carrier, HMAS Sydney, also serving as part of the 7th Fleet, and also flying airstrikes in Korea in support of coalition ground operations. So this tradition of our two militaries working together is long established. We have fought together in many wars. Our alliance is very deep and based on shared values, but as the Admiral has said, it is so important that we are constantly refining and developing our collective skills, and that is why Talisman Saber is so important, so that the US military, the Australian Defence Force, can test ourselves, our platforms and our systems, and to demonstrate to the world the resources that we are collectively putting into the defence of our nations and the defence of our values. And that, of course, is one reason why Australia has committed to increase our spending on defence to 2% of GDP. We're seeing significant increases in our capabilities with new air warfare destroyers entering service, the Army replacing its armoured vehicle fleet, and the Air Force soon to transition to fifth-generation combat aircraft in the form of F-35 Joint Strike Fighters, again, of course, working enormously closely with the United States. So can I extend on behalf of the Australian Government my very warm welcome to all of the US military personnel who are here. Can I encourage you to spend some time seeing our beautiful country? Enjoy it. Please spend some money while you're here. Have a good time. If you're warned about the drop bears, ignore that. That's not serious. If you're warned about crocodiles in North Queensland, that is serious, so take that warning seriously, is my advice to you. But most of all, thank you for the work that you do, defending your nation, defending our nation, and to the military personnel of both countries represented here, may I wish you on behalf of the Australian Government a successful and effective Operation Talisman Saber 2017, and we hope at the end of this exercise that you are more effective, more skilled, more capable than you already are. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for having me here today. Thanks to the Minister, to the Admiral, who I understand owns this boat. So thanks, it's great to be here. But especially I'd like to thank all the sailors and Marines of the USS Bonhomme Richard, or as I'm told it's pronounced, Bonnie Dick. So thanks for hosting us today. Look, my role here as acting ambassador is to engage with Australians across this whole country from end to end. And everywhere I go, I meet with city councils and schools and universities, business groups, chambers of commerce, think tanks, and we're always talking about the alliance. And it's becoming a noise you hear. People don't understand why it's so important. But you know why, and I know why, because without the stability this alliance brings to this region, and has done so since the end of World War II, we would not have the unprecedented peace and prosperity that this region has enjoyed all these years. With all the fast changes in the world today, this stability, this security is even more important now than it's ever been, as Admiral Harris said. So what you do, the exercises you're about to undertake, are incredibly important, an incredible signal of this relationship and its value going forward. You're going to work with your counterparts on the Australian side because, as Admiral Harris said, to get ready to fight tonight, you have to know the guy standing next to you. You have to know how the other side works. You have to be ready to go. And this exercise couldn't be more important than that. The way I think about this exercise is that I think about it like when you go into a public building and you see one of those little red boxes that says smash here in case of emergency. Well, unless you smash that glass, you don't know what's going to happen. And you want to know that when you smash the glass, it's going to work. You want to know the alarm's going to go off, that communications are going to happen. So you test it. Talisman Saber is the test. 33,000 folks is one hell of a test, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to learn a lot, and you're all going to be better off for it. And I couldn't be more proud to be here representing my nation, and in Australia, our great ally, than to be here today with all of you. Now, I understand you'll have a few days in Sydney. It's a great place to spend a few days before you start the exercise. Have a great time, and again, thank you very much.
Vice Admiral Johnston will now provide remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I think I'm the last speaker and therefore the last one holding you up from your port call. So I will be brief, but I'd like to, with the other guests, welcome in particular Senator the Honourable Paul Fletcher, the Honourable James Caruso, Miss Valerie Fowler, Admiral Harris, Admiral Barrett. It is a pleasure to be on board, and I add my thanks to the Commanding Officer, Ship's Company and the embarked forces from Bonhomme Richard for the opportunity to be here for the opening ceremony with you of Talisman Saber. This year we have been commemorating 75 years since the Battle of the Coral Sea, an area where the battle occurred not too far from where some of the training that will be performed over the next few weeks will take place. 75 years ago, US servicemen, Australian servicemen stood shoulder to shoulder, and what we see with Talisman Saber is that bond continues through that 75-year period and continues to grow in strength and relevance for us all. Over the next few weeks, 30,000 people from sailors, soldiers, airmen and women and Marines will be working together in what is some of the most complex training activities that in the ADF that we perform. You will conduct everything from the 5 domains in which we work: amphibious operations, sea, land and in the air, in order to test your skills, build your skills and ensure that our services are ready for those missions that our governments would call upon us to perform. That interoperability is key to us, that we build and develop and test it, and you will be at the forefront of that over the next few weeks. The exercise is also important to us in the Australian Defence Force because it gives us the chance to work and demonstrate our presence and capabilities across Northern Australia, a key and important operating area for us. I also recognise that the exercise is important because it brings old friends together and gives us the opportunity to work side by side and the chance for new friendships to be made as you get to work with your Australian, US, the Japanese and New Zealand counterparts that are all here as part of the exercise with us. So I welcome those of you who are returning to Australia back to our waters and our land, and for those of you for whom it is the first time, I too hope you make the most and enjoy it. For all the participants, I think I join Admiral Harris in indicating the commencement of Talisman Saber. My message to you all is similarly, make it a professionally rewarding experience, learn from the opportunity and keep yourselves safe. Thank you.
Testing, 1, 2, testing.
Joint operations, arriving. Pacific Command, arriving.
So I need this blue-green team to lead the way during this. We have to fight tonight. I don't want it to be a fair fight. If it's a knife fight,
Having a time. If you're warned about the drop bears, ignore that. That's not serious. If you're warned about crocodiles in North Queensland, that is serious.
Chief of Joint Operations, departing.
I'll just simply say Gadoha. So it's an honor. Vital region. May God bless each of you. May forge relationships that you can call on during crises because we are in this together. Folks, if we have to fight tonight, I don't want it to be a fair fight. If it's a knife fight, I want it to be more cost effective and more importantly, more lethal. When I look at the Bonhomme Richard, I see endless possibilities for the future. After all, you can say that amphibious ships are the original multi-domain battle platforms.
Talisman Saber 17 will involve a command post exercise which incorporates interoperability goals at the campaign, operational, and tactical level. It was also created the responsibility for planning the exercise with